Good day everyone, Max here from Evidence-Based Football Manager. Hope everyone's having heaps of fun playing FM24. I'm starting a brand new video series based on FM24, and this video series is going to be about Matchday game mechanics. I've taken all your comments and requests into consideration, and I feel that doing a multi-episode video series on Matchday game mechanics is the best way to address a lot of your requests within a single video series. So in the upcoming video series, I will be investigating the various Football Manager game mechanics that's related to player performance and team performance on the pitch, such as Homeground advantage, player fitness, hidden attributes, positional familiarity, dominant foot, injury risks, and so on. I'm going to start the series today with a topic that's relatively easy to test, which is Homeground advantage. Does Homeground advantage actually exist in Football Manager? And if it does, how potent is it? And how does it actually manifest in the game? Like, does it give the home players a temporary boost or something? These are the questions that I'm trying to answer in this video today. In addition to that, there is a question that I will also address today, which is whether there's any benefit in trying to employ a defensive-minded tactic when your team is playing away from home. Being deliberately on the back foot and putting up your guard when you're in hostile territory is an approach that a lot of real-life football managers go for when they're playing away from home in order to, mitigate the opponent's home ground advantage as much as possible. And I wanted to find out whether such approach works in the Football Manager games as well. This is a topic that was suggested to me by Zaz, who's one of the most well-known custom tactic creators within the Football Manager community. Zaz has published heaps of genius custom tactics in the past, and many of his tactics consistently rank among the top Football Manager custom tactics on various Football Manager fan sites. So he's got in touch with me, and he suggested testing the hypothesis that defensive tactics can increase your team's win rate when you use it during away games. So that will be discussed in today's video as well. For the purpose of today's experiments, I've created my own test cup competition using the FM24 pre-game editor. So I'll go through the details of this test cup briefly. There are two teams, Team A and Team B, and these two teams are composed of completely identical clone players who are a 10 out of 20 for all player attributes and hidden attributes. I've added two managers in the game, one in charge of Team A and the other one in charge of Team B, which allows me to control the variables of both Team A and Team B. I try to equalize the in-game parameters as much as possible, including tactical familiarity, team dynamics, player morale, player fitness, and so on. I set up two save files. So in the first save file, the test cup is held at a neutral venue, and in the second save file, the test cup is held at Team A's home stadium. The plan was to run repeated trials using these two save files so that I could compare the win rate of Team A and Team B under the two different environments. So using the first save file, I repeated the exact same test cup match 1,000 times by going on a holiday. And after each simulation, I recorded the results of the test cup match. It's basically like throwing a coin 1,000 times and recording the number of heads and tails to make sure that you've got a fair coin that has the same chance of landing heads or tails. I also conducted 1,000 trials using the second save file so this is when the test cup was held at Team A's home venue. So let's take a look at the results together. Right, so first we have the results from the first save file. So this is when the test cup was played at a neutral venue. Out of 1,000 trials, Team A won 359 times, there were 269 draws, and Team B won 372 times. In other words, 35.9% win rate for Team A and 37.2% win rate for Team B. So Team B's win rate was around 1.3% higher than Team A, which might just be due to random statistical variance, or there could have been some systematic reason that favored Team B just slightly over Team A. For now, I'm just going to assume that we have a fair coin and that Team A and Team B are exactly identical in strength because it's actually the results from the second save file that I wanted to focus on more for today's discussion. So let's take a look at the results from the second save file. When the test cup was held at Team A's home stadium 1,000 times, Team A won 440 times. There were 277 draws and Team B won 283 times. In other words, Team A won 44% of the time and Team B won 28% of the time. So compared to the results from the first save file, Team A's win rate went up by around 8.1% and Team B's win rate fell by around 8.9%. So based on these results, I'm fairly confident in concluding that home ground advantage does actually exist in Football Manager. When you're playing at home, your team's win rate will go up by around 8 to 9%. And on the other hand, when you're playing away from home, your team's win rate will go down by around between 8 to 9%. Of course, there's always a possibility that Team A accumulated a lot more wins here in these tests compared to Team B just by random chance in the absence of any home ground advantage. If you're a statistician or a data analyst, you will know that what we need now is a hypothesis test involving a binomial distribution. I've done some quick calculations here using Excel and I won't bore you with the details, but basically, the probability that Team A gained 440 wins from 1,000 independent trials just by random chance is 0.000. Anyway, it's an extremely small possibility, which means the null hypothesis is rejected in favor of the alternative hypothesis, which means it is extremely likely that home ground advantage does actually exist in Football Manager. So if you think your team's been doing better at home and are performing worse away from home in Football Manager, it's not just your imagination. Home ground advantage does actually exist in Football Manager. Alright, what I wanted to do next was to investigate how home ground advantage actually manifests in the game. Do players get like a temporary buff to their attributes when they're playing at home? Or do they get like a temporary penalty when they're playing away from home? So what I did was, at the end of each test cup match, I went into the squad view page and I recorded a range of individual player statistics such as distance covered, pass accuracy, the number of shots and so on, so that I could compare the statistics for players from the home team and also for players from the away team. Now there was a limit to the variety of statistics that I could record, because there were some glitches with the squad view function, which prevented some of these statistics from being displayed properly in the game. For example, if you take a look at these two columns here, the number of headers attempted and the number of headers completed, you can see that the column for headers attempted is empty, but the column for headers completed will display the required information. Also, if you take a look at these three columns here, you can see that the number of passes attempted and the number of passes completed are both empty, but for some reason the column for the pass completion rates will show you the proper statistics. I think these glitches are due to the fact that only one match has been played so far in this test cup save file. Maybe after just one match, the game kind of struggles to record and display the proper statistics, which is pretty silly if you think about it. I mean, if you can calculate and display the pass completion ratios, you should be able to display the number of passes attempted and the number of passes completed. Anyway, it's no biggie. We'll just take a look at the data that I did manage to collect. So I have some tables here that summarizes the individual player statistics for Team A players and Team B players when they played under three different environments: home, neutral, and away. In the top section, I have the average values from all outfield players, and in the following sections, I've broken down the statistics into forwards, midfielders, and defenders. I didn't include the goalkeepers in these calculations, and I also didn't include any players who were substituted into the match. A lot of statistics related to the offensive phase of the game were shown to be higher during home games, including the number of dribbles made by the players, the number of crosses, and the number of shots. For example, if you take a look at the number of shots and shots on target, you can see that forwards from the home team have recorded a higher number of shots and shots on target compared to neutral players and away team players. It is a little bit difficult to extrapolate any definite conclusions from this data, partly because there are some stats that are missing due to the glitches that I've mentioned. But overall, I think Homeground advantage makes your players a bit more active and a bit more offensive-minded during the match when they're playing at home, which leads to more goal-scoring opportunities, which of course ultimately leads to more number of wins in the long run. Another guess is that Homeground advantage grants a temporary morale boost to home team players and maybe a temporary morale penalty for away team players. Morale is supposed to be an important factor in determining player performance in Football Manager, so it is possible that Homeground advantage works in the game by granting a temporary minor morale boost to home team players. Of course, I can't tell for sure exactly how the Homeground advantage mechanic works in the game without looking at the actual codes, but yeah, those are my best guesses. Right, now I wanted to talk about the use of offensive tactics and defensive tactics in home games and in away games. The questions that I'm trying to answer is this: is there a benefit in using a defensive-minded tactic when you're playing away from home in order to neutralize the opposition team's home ground advantage? So this is how Zaz and I have set up the experiment. For the offensive tactic, we used a custom tactic called Brazilian Box PI Galore. So this is a tactic that's designed by a user called Let's Go 9, and it's a tactic that's listed on the FM Arena website as one of the tactics with the most number of goals scored. For the defensive-minded tactic, we used a custom tactic called Italian KO. This is a tactic that's designed by a user called Delicious, and it's a tactic that's listed on the FM Arena website as one of the tactics with the least number of goals conceded. So I equipped Team A and Team B with these two tactics, and repeated trials were conducted when the test cup was held at Team A's home ground, and I recorded the number of wins and losses for Team A and Team B. So let's take a look at the results together. I have a table here that shows you 4 different test scenarios with Team A and B using either the Brazilian Box or the Italian KO tactic. For each scenario, Zaz and I conducted 500 trials, and we recorded the number of wins for each team and the number of goals scored by each team. Remember, in all 4 of these scenarios, the test cup match was played at Team A's home venue. So in the first scenario, both Team A and Team B used the attacking tactic, that's the Brazilian Box tactic. And you can see that Team A has recorded a lot more wins compared to Team B, which is expected since Team A is the home team here. In the second scenario, Team A still used the same attacking tactic, but this time Team B switched to a defensive tactic. That's the Italian KO tactic, yeah? And if you take a look at the results, you can see that the number of wins for Team A went up, and the number of wins for Team B went down compared to the first scenario. And if you take a look at the number of goals scored, both Team A goals and Team B goals went down compared to the first scenario, but this is the important part. The number of Team B goals was depressed more than the number of Team A goals, which led to Team B losing more number of matches overall after 500 trials. In the third scenario, Team A used the defensive tactic and Team B used the offensive tactic. Team A has recorded more number of wins here compared to Team B, probably due to the home ground advantage of Team A. If you take a look at the fourth scenario, here Team B switched to the defensive tactic, which was mildly effective since here the number of Team A wins went down compared to the third scenario. But at the same time, the number of Team B wins went down as well, So I don't think Team B switching to the defensive tactic in the fourth scenario can really be called a total success. If you take a look at the number of goals scored, both Team A and Team B scored less goals compared to the third scenario, but the number of Team B goals went down more compared to the number of Team A goals. Team B, by switching to a defensive tactic, they could bring down the number of Team A goals, but that was achieved only at the cost of simultaneously bringing down the number of its own goals. So the conclusion that I would draw from these tests is this. If you use a defensive-minded tactic away from home, you'll be able to reduce the opponent's number of goals and maybe even bring down the opponent's number of wins. But it will come at the cost of simultaneously bringing down the number of your own goals, which might be a net detriment to your own team's chances of winning in the long run. Now, this doesn't mean that defensive-minded tactics are useless. Let's say you're playing away from home and let's say you're leading 2-1 with 10 minutes to go. In such cases, you really wouldn't mind sacrificing your own chances of scoring extra goals if you can simultaneously shut down your opponent's chances of scoring. So going defensive at away games in order to hold on to a lead can be a viable strategy, according to the test results that we're seeing here today. Alright folks, time to make a summary of today's video. 1. Homeground advantage exists in Football Manager. I know this is a very simple finding, but hey, this is what I do on this channel. I take nothing for granted unless it's backed up by evidence. So according to my tests, Homeground advantage can increase your team's win rate by between 8 to 9%. Of course, the exact impact of Homeground advantage for your team will depend on various factors such as the strength of your players, the strength of your opponents, and also the tactics used by the two teams. 2. While it's not possible to know for sure how the Homeground advantage mechanic works in the game, my best guess is that it makes home team players a bit more active and a bit more offensive-minded compared to away team players. There could be a minor boost in player morale for home team players, or maybe a minor morale penalty for away team players. I can't tell for sure, so more research will be required regarding the role of player morale in Football Manager. 3. Using a defensive-minded tactic away from home can reduce the number of goals conceded by your team, but it will come at the cost of extra goals that could potentially be scored by your own team, which means there will be a net loss in the number of wins for your team in the long run. So I wouldn't normally recommend using a defensive-minded tactic just because you're playing away from home. But there are certain situations where being deliberately on the back foot can be of benefit, such as when you're trying to hold on to a lead in the final minutes of an away game. Okay, that's it for today's video. If you guys have any feedbacks or queries or any testing requests, do leave them in the comment section below and I will take a look at them. Alright, this new Matchday game mechanic series will be continued. I'll see you guys all next time. Cheers guys. Bye.